Hello, I'm Roisin. I'm the Training and Qualifications Coordinator at AdviceUK. The advice sector has a huge part to play during and indeed after the COVID-19 pandemic, but we are very lucky to be able to speak to Jo Ellis, who is the Training and Support Coordinator at Island Advice Centre, and they're based in East London. So Jo, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It would be great to get a bit more information about Island Advice Centre and your job role.
I work for Island Advice Centre and I'm the training coordinator in Island Advice Centre. Island Advice is a generalist advice centre, and we do advice from basic level, sort of filling in forms and making phone calls on behalf of clients, up to specialist level, which would be appeal, representation and court cases. So as you said, we're in East London, and it's the borough that we're in is Tower Hamlets. We also facilitate a network called Tower Hamlets Community Advice Network, which is a partnership of advice agencies in the borough. So we kind of facilitate meetings and look at advice needs in Tower Hamlets. And the other thing that I do is training and recruiting volunteers as well, because we have kind of around 10 to 15 volunteers at any particular time, and that could be sort of community volunteers, we call them, or law students. So that's what my role, and that's what Island Advice Centre does.
We're over halfway through April now. At a risk of asking an overly general question, what's happened in the last 3 to 4 weeks?
I guess the first thing was the building, the community centre where we're based, closed down. So no clients. I mean, we had a waiting room full of 20 to 30 people during advice sessions, so it was completely inappropriate and not possible to carry on working in the way that we were. We stopped doing face-to-face advice. We kind of replaced it with telephone advice and email. Staff are mostly remote working. We've all been issued with our own laptops and our mobile phones. We're sort of sending one person a day, goes in and sort of scans letters and checks post and things like that. Our previous clients, we were sort of probably seeing about 50 clients a week in the drop-in service, and sort of initially it kind of completely dropped off, and people were still using the telephone advice session times and hadn't kind of got used to that we were sort of more accessible by phone. Clients have had to kind of get used to this telephone and email service rather than a face-to-face, which can be obviously challenging, especially for people with literacy or language problems. So a lot of research, as I say, there's a lot of support going on in the area. We had to research and find out and sort of retrain ourselves on the new changes, and you know, things seem to be changing every day, so we had to kind of keep up with that. And we all had to learn how to use the computer a lot more than we ever did before. Zoom meetings I've never heard of before, so that's the thing that we've all learned. So we've all kind of had adapted various platforms and using phone and email advice with clients. So that's what's happened over the last 3 to 4 weeks, basically.
Okay.
We're still here, but we're doing it from home.
I mean, I know you've mentioned some challenges already, but could you talk a bit about any particular challenges you've had to overcome? Maybe some that are still waiting to be addressed?
I think the communication, that's the major one, because you know we've got clients that are completely digitally excluded. They've not got access to computer. They can't use computers. They can't read or write, or they may have limited English even. So I think communication sort of with clients was definitely an issue. Things on the phone can take an awful lot longer because you can't see the letters, and they're kind of trying to describe things, or they have to take a photo of a letter and send it to them. And actually where we identified sort of where we want to act on behalf of the client, that was a challenge as well, because you've got to get authority to do that, and unless you're getting them to sign forms of authority, so that was a bit challenging as well. All the different changes to the benefits, just keeping up with that really. And finally, staff working at home, it's very dependent on you having good internet access. I'm in my bedroom right now, having a space. We want to get more Skype, we want to do WhatsApp, we want to improve our knowledge of doing the sort of Zoom meetings and things like that, and maybe even deliver training digitally. And something about getting the authority to act on clients, we kind of want to sort that out, and that would be good things. And domestic violence and mental health, I mean, I don't know what we can address with that, but I know that that's going to be an issue and a problem, and that's something we need to think about for the future as well.
Are there any tips you could share?
We always used to have quite a lot of clients needing help with forms. Doing forms, we've just said to people, sign the form, drop them in the letterbox, we pick it up, and we do that over the form. Increasing and improving your networks and referrals. I've had sort of referrals from organisations that I didn't even know existed, and using WhatsApp and Facebook local pages, keeping involved in those and telling them that there's an advice service, telling them that there's changes and what they are, and to contact us. We've actually had quite a lot of new clients, sort of people that have never heard of our service before, so linking in with different organisations and improving networks and letting clients and other organisations know that you're out there, and doing that digitally is a good thing that we've done. The digital meetings, brilliant. Why did we ever get on buses and spend time travelling? That's like, I think that might happen in the future, so that's been a good thing, I think it's really important because we're all kind of working in different areas to keep connected with the team, so making sure that you have at least once a week team meeting and phone calls to each other. And good stuff, I mean, the community spirit, it's just been absolutely fantastic. I'm humbled and overwhelmed. I mean, like people dropping off food and doing shopping and cooking meals, and the changes to the benefits and housing, because these are things that we've wanted all for years. Sanctions, they're stopping doing sanctions. They've increased money for working tax credit, and universal credit has gone up by, I think it's £20 a week, so that's really good. They've stopped recovering overpayments, so there's loads of things that we want to stay and remain as they are. They won't, but at the moment that's a good thing. And sort of, I think they're with the debts, I think creditors and council tax are being a bit more relaxed about sort of recovery methods and things like that. So
I think you've covered a bit of it already, but is there anything else you want to add about how staff and clients have been adapting?
With staff, we had sort of different levels of digital ability. So there was some person who didn't even have a smartphone, so that person's got a smartphone now. So I think we've all had to improve and increase, and it's all stuff that we possibly should have done before. I think we've all improved our digital skills. We've all got a way to go, but I think that's one thing in a way that we've adapted. And so sort of existing clients that were used to coming to appointments and drop-ins, and a bit of time to get them to accept that you can help people over the phone and you can send things without having to see your advisor. So I think they needed quite a bit of reassuring. I've still got concerns that there's people out there, if you can't access a computer, if you haven't got phone numbers to ring. I know, like, people have been dropping leaflets in the door saying this is a number if you're vulnerable and need help, but I've still got my concerns that there might be people out there that aren't accessing all these wonderful services that are available. So
looking ahead, in 6 months' time, do you expect to see an increase in demand for advice related services like debt advice, for example?
Once this is over and things kind of go back to normal, that evictions will start coming through, that rent, people are getting in rent, if they're 3 months of not doing evictions, they're only going to pile up and start in 3 months' time. I can't see that they're going to change legislation that you can't evict people. Their benefits, are they going to go back down to their previous levels? Are they just going to start recovering overpayments? I think we're going to be inundated once this is over. Benefit issues, because loads of people are kind of going to be losing work or losing money and going on to universal credit, and don't understand that at the moment there's conditions for claiming universal credit are kind of relaxed. Well, I don't think that's going to stay there permanently, unfortunately. I'm anticipating a massive demand once this lockdown is over, to be honest with you, apart from the fact that there's going to be more clients in more need. Everything that's been just put on hold is just going to start needing help with in, you know, whenever this is finished. I think that we will continue in some ways to the digital practices. I mentioned the team meetings and network meetings. I think that's the way to go forward if people are happy to do that. And I think we might be doing more working at home as well, because, you know, some people it's working out great.
What do you think the funding climate for advice will look like? Bearing in mind, as you say, the increase in demand, what would you like to say to funders?
At the moment, we've got these monitoring and targets, and they're completely out the window. And I don't, you know, it's not that we're not doing anything, it's just that we can't do things in the way that we did before. And the need is there, it's just a different need, and services are needed just in a different way. So all our monitoring and targets, funders, please forget about all of those, but, you know, sort of relax the targets and monitoring side of things, and agree to changing them. And to be honest with you, most of our existing funders have already agreed to that, so that's good. I'm really anticipating a high demand in housing, debt and benefit work. I just am. Possibly employment stuff as well. And remember the independent advice sector. You know, there's a huge organisation, the CAB, but I think there's around 20 different independent advice agencies working with different communities just in our borough. So funders, remember to the independent advice sector, and continue to fund us and look into advice for housing, debt and benefits. That's what.
Thank you. It's been really valuable to hear about your experience so far, and I'm sure that a lot of people will recognise similarities with their own situation. From an Advice UK point of view, I just want to remind people of some of the support available to them. You can call the Krona Business Support Line. They can help you with HR, payroll, legal and so on. We continue to send out our newsletters with funding updates as well as frequent COVID-19 briefings. Their aim is to help Advice UK members manage and respond to the impact of COVID-19. And lastly, a little plug for our members group on LinkedIn. We're really encouraging people to talk to each other and support each other, because communication and cohesion undoubtedly play a really vital role at this time. Once again, thanks so much, Jo, and it's been great to speak to you.
Thank you. Thank you.